Hi everyone, my name is Lily. I've been a professional tarot reader for over a decade, and today I thought I would just share with you a chatty podcast style video where I talk about my experience reading in a metaphysical shop. This was something that I wanted to know when I was first starting out, because when I was trying to get my tarot business off the ground, when I was trying to gain experience, it was really hard for me to hear stories of other people. I would look online and I'd see people who had successful businesses, but people kind of like gatekeep their experience, or they like gatekeep the process of what it's like to actually build a successful business and what you have to do along the way to gain experience. And so I don't want to do any gatekeeping. I don't want to keep this from anybody. If you are interested in becoming a tarot reader as a job and you're wondering, how do I gain experience? How do I connect with clients? This is one of the ways that you can do it. And today I want to talk about the benefits and the challenges of reading in a metaphysical shop or a store. I read in a couple of them, and some of them had different setups, and I'm going to talk about kind of the different ways that I got paid or not paid. But basically, what is a metaphysical shop, first of all, for those of you that don't know? A metaphysical shop is like a spiritual store. Maybe they'll sell incense, spiritual books, tarot cards. It's kind of, yeah, it's like a spiritual store, maybe an alternative location where people of alternative interests will come to buy things, and they typically have wonderful atmosphere. They always smell nice. They've got beautiful crystals and amazing books, and I really enjoy actually going to metaphysical shops. I think that they're really fun and welcoming. And one of the benefits of being a tarot reader in a metaphysical shop is the built-in foot traffic, right? You can set up your table and have your cards and wait for customers to roll in the door. And because they're already coming into, a spiritually alternative shop, they're more likely to be open-minded about getting a tarot reading, and you're more likely to get clients who will give you a positive experience when it comes to the people that come to those kinds of stores, right? So that's probably the biggest advantage, is that clients come to you and you now have a safe place that you can read for clients, right? I know a lot of readers that want to read for other people, but they don't feel comfortable like opening their homes or meeting strangers someplace. So having a shop where you can have a table and you can set up is a really great place to meet clients, who come to you. So it's a great way to give kind of like a structured, professional atmosphere, and you don't have to market for clients. They just walk in the door. That kind of leads me to point number 2, where you really get to meet people in the community. You get to meet people that are like-minded. A lot of clients that I read for when I worked in metaphysical shops were also interested in tarot, or they were learning tarot. And in addition to getting clients, I would also get students who would ask me to mentor them on, hey, can you teach me how to read? Because it's one thing to read for yourself, and it's a completely different thing to read for other people. You really have to be confident in your skills and your reading ability, and it's low-key actually kind of terrifying. Like, I remember the first couple times I read for complete strangers, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. So yeah, the next great thing is you get to have a network and a community. I made a lot of friends. We did a lot of collaboration. My coworkers, colleagues, people, it was like a really great vibe. I really loved it. The next thing, of course, is you don't have to do any marketing. They encourage you to do marketing, but you don't have to. You don't have to do any admin stuff. You don't have to pay for rent. You don't have to manage a store. When you are a tarot reader working at a metaphysical shop, you're more like a contractor, or like hairdressers, they will work in a salon, they'll rent like a booth. That's kind of how it was. You don't have to deal with the logistics of running a business. You can just show up, set your table, read cards, split the profits, and go home. Probably the biggest benefit to reading in a metaphysical shop is, of course, experience. Experience is like this golden ticket, okay, when it comes to being a tarot reader, because you just cannot be confident in your skills or your ability to work with the public until you've actually read for the public. And reading for your friends and family is not the same thing as reading for strangers who are paying you, right? So there's definitely tiers of skill and talent when it comes to being a tarot reader. And getting to a level where you feel like your skills are competent enough to read for strangers requires a lot of experience. I'm not gonna lie, definitely in the beginning, during my early days of reading for the public, I made a lot of mistakes. I bumbled a lot. I said things that I regret. I made mistakes. I was scared. I didn't have the confidence that I have now, and I'm still, of course, growing and learning as a tarot reader now. But definitely back in the day when I was working at metaphysical shops, when I was first starting out, there was a lot of things that I didn't know. And you're not gonna know until you get all of that experience under your belt. And experience is probably the one thing that sets a really good tarot reader apart from a mediocre one. In today's, social media era, people think that an influencer with a lot of followers automatically means that they're a good tarot reader. And that is not true. That is not true. Just because someone has a lot of followers on social media, it just means they're good at marketing. It doesn't mean that they're a talented reader. Talented readers have a track record of giving high quality readings, and that's it. One of the ways that you can tell if someone is a good reader is if they have repeat clients. And I say this all the time because people are not dumb. They know the difference between a good reading and a bad one. And they might be like, oh yeah, this was great, thank you, but they're not going to come back to you. They're going to take their money elsewhere when they want another reading. One of the ways you really start to tell if you have quality and talented service is if people are coming back to you. If they say, hey, wow, you really helped me with that problem. You really helped me heal in this situation. Thank you so much. Not only am I referring my friends and family to you, but the next time I have a challenge or a struggle, I'm going to call you. That's when you know that you're actually creating a service that people value, and you can start to feel confident in what you're charging people. You can start to feel confident that the service that you're providing has value, is when people start to come back. And that is so important. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled by people on social media, who are really good at marketing or who say, talk a big game and say things. Look at someone's credentials, look at their history, and ask them, do you have regulars? Do you have people that stay with you for years? Because it's hard to find a good tarot reader. And if you find a tarot reader who's actually talented and has good quality sessions, people will stay with them for life, right? So when you go into a metaphysical shop, it's a great way, if you don't have any regulars, if you don't have any experience, it's a great way for you to start to earn that experience, because that is the one thing that is going to set you apart from everyone else in the industry. You have to have experience. You have to have lots of readings under your belt, and not just, readings where nobody ever calls you back, but readings where people call you back. And metaphysical shops can be a great way for people who don't have any clientele, who don't have any experience in the industry. They can walk into a shop and start pulling cards for clients. That being said, a lot of people think that if someone is working in a shop, then that means that they must be, an expert. That was not my case. Okay, like I worked in a shop because I was not an expert and I needed experience. I definitely learned a lot working in shops. Now, of course, I don't work in any shops. I don't work at a metaphysical shop or anything like that. Today, most of my readings I do via Zoom or over the phone or online. And I have a clientele base already set up, so I don't have to go to a shop. So that was all the positives about working in a metaphysical shop. If you are new to tarot reading, or you're wanting to gain experience reading for the public, you're wanting to start to build up a clientele base, you're wanting to make friends and network and be in a welcoming, positive environment, metaphysical shops are wonderful. They're wonderful. They're great. And with those, I would definitely say if those are your needs, then definitely try it out. Right now, I'm going to go into the negatives, the cons, right? Because nothing is perfect. I don't even know where to start, but these are in no particular order, by the way. The first personal con that I struggled with is the lack of privacy. I like to do deep dives when I do tarot readings. I like to kind of dig a little into serious subjects, and it's very hard to do that when you're in public. It's very hard to talk about trauma or pain or failures or struggles when you're sitting in the middle of the store and there's people walking around and there's a person, the cashier behind the desk is like eavesdropping on the entire conversation. Right? So the lack of privacy, number one, is my biggest challenge, because when people feel exposed, when people feel like they don't have privacy, their walls come up. They get very defensive. They have a hard time admitting things that they might be ashamed of, or working through things that they might want to hide. And tarot does not discriminate. Tarot will literally call you out on your problems. It will call you out on things that you're afraid of or ashamed of if you ask those questions. And I found that being in a public setting without any privacy made it very difficult for some people to talk about the things that they genuinely wanted to talk about, but they didn't feel comfortable knowing that there were other people eavesdropping and walking around, shopping for incense and stuff. So you don't have as much control over your environment when you work in a metaphysical shop. You don't control the space. That being said, the other thing about lack of privacy is I hated interruptions. Oh my gosh, if you walk into a store and you see someone is getting a reading, leave them the fuck alone. Do not interrupt the session. It sounds like total common sense, but people did it all the time. I'd be in the middle of pulling cards, and some nosy Karen would come up and be like, "Ooh, what do you have here? Is she telling your fortune?" It's like a terrible accent, by the way. I'm a little sick. I don't know if you guys can tell. Oh my God, it would drive me crazy. I would be so annoyed that, people would feel entitled to butt in the middle of a reading that I was giving a client. The interruptions, the limited privacy were absolutely obnoxious, and it completely disrupted the flow of the reading. That's why now in my own practice, we have a private Zoom calls, no interruptions, no distractions. But yeah, if you work in a shop, you're gonna have noise, you're gonna have distractions, you're gonna have lack of privacy, people are gonna have their defenses up, and you can't help it. There are gonna be people who are eavesdropping. Yeah. So, if you get clients who don't feel comfortable talking about how, their ex-girlfriend cheated on them, and they're trying to heal from that, and you're like, well, I'm sorry, but everyone in the store can hear you, and that's definitely number one for me, lack of privacy. The next thing is, do not expect to get paid very well. I'm a huge proponent that spiritual healers are we need them in the world. We need people who have these talents, who bring these gifts, because I've personally seen tarot transform lives, heal people, bring clarity, insight, and peace in a deep, deep, meaningful way to people, even in the span of one session. I would not do what I do if I didn't genuinely believe that I was helping people or making a difference in people's lives. So that being said, I'm a huge advocate to having tarot readers in the world because I know they help people. That being said, you can't have talented tarot readers in the world if they cannot eat, if they cannot pay their bills, if they don't have a living wage. So it's like this double-edged sword. We want people who are really talented and gifted, who can give us healing and wisdom, but we also need to pay them. We also need to make sure that we support their practice so that they can afford to do that healing work, so that they can afford to do that. And working at a metaphysical shop is not a way to make a living wage, at least in my experience. Every metaphysical shop that I worked at took a large percentage of my earnings. They also told me what my prices would be. And this is typically because I wasn't the only tarot reader that worked at the shop. And so they wanted all of us to have the same prices, and they all took the same commission, which would be about 60 or 70%, which is huge, huge. Like, I'm the one sitting there, I'm the one pulling the cards, I'm the one doing it, and yet I'm paying. I never saw anything less than 50%, but here I am paying like a huge percentage of the reading to the shop itself. Now, to be fair, the shop, they're paying for rent, they're paying for overhead, they're paying for the space in which I'm reading, so I understand that they have their own costs, but it does kind of suck that they would set the prices and they take a large percentage. Now, I did have another shop. Now, this isn't every shop, but some of the shops, in order for you to be a tarot reader, you also had to work for free. And there was this one shop that I worked at. I don't know if it was like a co-op or something. I think that's what you call it. But basically, they said, yes, you can read tarot for 10 hours a week, but you have to work the cashier for free. You have to work the actual job in the shop for free for like 10 or 20 hours a week or whatever it would be. It varied. So they wanted you to actually work for free as a volunteer, an unpaid employee, in order to earn the privilege of reading tarot in their shop, which then they would take a commission. I believe their commission was less. Maybe it was like 30 or 40%. But it was still a significant amount. And at the time, I was pretty desperate to gain experience. At the time, I was like, well, okay, let me try it out, because I didn't know better and I didn't know where to begin. And I just wanted to gain some experience or start reading tarot for the public. How can I do that? So I would actually go and I would work for free as a volunteer in this co-op. And then I would earn the privilege of reading tarot and giving them a cut of my sales. That is not any way that you can make a living wage. You cannot support talented tarot readers that way. Because at the end of the day, I wasn't able to make enough money to pay my bills. Who can pay their bills when they work for free? You can't. And the other thing too, is there's not a steady stream of customers. There's not. Sometimes you'll sit there and you'll wait for hours and you won't get any clients, and you're there. It was nice when I started to build up a clientele base. I'd be like, hey, I'll be at the shop these days from these hours. You can come and get a reading. And I would try to like market myself. But it was inconsistent. You know, you're not getting clients back to back. And sometimes people will come in and there'll be multiple people that want a reading, but you're currently busy with one client, and they'll be like, okay, I'll come another time, and they'll leave and you won't see them again. The other thing is that not everybody has the time for a tarot reading when they're shopping. This was another con that I didn't actually realize until I started working in metaphysical shops, was some people have the luxury of doing their shopping in the afternoon and they can sit down for like a half an hour and get a tarot reading, and that's fine. Other people don't. Other people have obligations. Maybe they have kids. Maybe they've got to run to another thing and they just wanted to get in the store, get their candles or their incense and leave. And they don't have the time to sit and wait for a tarot reading or get a tarot reading. So that was another thing, is just like some people, it's just don't have the flexibility of the schedule, which is why I like now in my practice where we can schedule it via Zoom and do it online, so that it's like it works for when they want to have a session. So yeah, so that would be my top complaints. Not having privacy, not having control over your environment, having inconsistent client flow, not making enough money. You don't make enough money to live when you work at a metaphysical shop. You really, at least I didn't, because they take such a big cut, and some of them want you to volunteer or work for free in the store. So that like makes it really hard. Not having control over prices or your hours or your settings. And so when you're considering, if you are someone who wants to take your tarot reading for the next level and you're thinking about working at a metaphysical shop, I would definitely take these pros and cons together and decide whether or not it's right for you. Would I do it again? Do I regret reading at metaphysical shops? No. I think that where I was in that stage of my career, it was a really great place for me to gain experience. And I was just kind of making stuff up as I went. I didn't have a plan. I didn't think that my tarot business would grow into what it is today. I just really enjoyed giving readings, and I wanted to see, I was kind of curious to see what this world would be like. And I think that's what motivated me, actually, is, yes, this is what motivated me. And it still motivates me today. But when you meet a complete stranger and you start pulling cards for them and you start seeing the reaction on their face of like, wow, how did you know this? Or wow, the cards are spot on. Or when people thank you at the end of a session, when they say, thank you, you changed my life, or you really healed me, or you helped me, it gives you such a thrill. It gives you, at least for me, like it made me feel so complete. It made me feel like I was making a difference in people's lives. And that really just like fueled me to want to do this more. And that's actually one of the main reasons why I read tarot today, is because it's such an overwhelming positive experience. I get emails from clients like on a daily basis thanking me. And that just, to me, it feels like a miracle. It feels really special. Like, how could a deck of cards and like me having these skills that I've worked and I've got like these methods that I've developed over these years, how could something like this be so powerful and healing and meaningful for people? I love that. And so what motivated me to get into reading at metaphysical shops is I wanted to experience that firsthand. So if you are someone who wants to gain experience under your belt, you want to start building a clientele base, working at a metaphysical shop can be a great way to do that. But I wouldn't say that's the only way, and I wouldn't put all of your eggs in that one basket, because long term, I don't see it as sustainable. Long term, it just doesn't have the profit that you would need to really make a living wage as a tarot reader. That's my opinion, of course. But I, especially working for free and having to pay such large percentage, and the problems, having limited time and the lack of privacy, all these things made it really difficult to do that for long term. I only read in metaphysical shops for about a year. It wasn't something that I sustained. I had great experience. I read for 3 different metaphysical shops, and they all were slightly different. They all were great vibes, great atmosphere. I made friends. In that way, it really helped me. But if you are thinking about doing this for a long term, it just doesn't pay well enough to sustain a practice, in my opinion. And if you are someone who's interested in reading at a metaphysical shop, I would take it as a learning experience, like an internship, a way for you to gain that confidence, for you to see where your skills genuinely lie. I see a lot of readers who think that they're like really, really great, and yet they deliver mediocre readings. How do you know? How do you know how good you are or how bad you are until you actually go and try it out? Go, try it out, read for people, get feedback, see if you see clients again. If you don't have repeat customers, you're doing something wrong. There's something wrong that you need to improve and work on. Doesn't mean you need to quit. It just means that there's more for you to learn. There's more for you to grow. I'm still learning and growing too, and it's a work in progress. We're all work in progress, of course. But go out there and find it, and really like experiencing the beautiful, like witnessing the beautiful transformation of people healing and awakening, enlightenment, closure, and peace is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it's that keeps me going. It's that's like the value that I get from this job. But yes, so that is my experience working at a metaphysical shop. If you're a beginner, if you need to get experience under your belt and you don't necessarily care about money, it's a good way. It's great. If you're someone who's wanting to have community and groovy clients, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it for people who are just starting out and who maybe they want to see where they stand. Maybe they want to find out, like, am I actually good enough to do this as a job? Go to a metaphysical shop, try it out. And yes, so thank you guys for listening to me. I hope this was helpful and insightful. When I was learning how to read tarot and I was trying to do that, a video like this would have helped me out. So I'm not into gatekeeping or anything like that. So any knowledge or experiences that I can share for other tarot readers, I want to share. I don't want to gatekeep anything in this industry because I do genuinely feel like what we do, the service that we provide, is valuable and it helps people. We need to have more tarot readers in the world because it's really beautiful and special what we provide. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about what it was like or any other advice about running your own tarot business or working with clients, I'm happy to share. Just drop it in the comments below. Anyway, take care, everybody.